first of all, what's your prediction about the whole Israel and Palestine and the wider Middle East? What's in the next couple of decades? Because in Iran, there's a huge pushback against the Islamic theocracy of the regime, and I know in Egypt there's also a lot of similar movements, and I wanted to ask you if there are any parallels between that, or is there any bridges that we could make? I do see a lot of people in Egypt. There's a lot of atheist activism. There's a lot of content
Yes,
coming from Egyptians
yes,
regarding secularism, regarding atheism, regarding liberalism. So I know there's a rich history of secular activism in Egypt, and I
yes.
also see that in Iran. And I wanted to see if there's anything similar or any bridges or any unity. Like, what do you think?
There
Any
are many
similarities?
there are many similarities between Iran and Egypt, by the way. I mean, in terms of the population, the majority of the population are young people. There is a strong wave of secularism and liberalism in the streets, although in Egypt it's more silent than it is in Iran. I mean, the Iranian people are maybe more courageous, especially the women, actually, than their counterparts in Egypt. But also
They're
there
more
are many.
tired.
Yeah, but
They're more tired because
they're
they
more
live
tired.
under a theocracy. Yes, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I think there are many similarities. Also, the size of the population is almost the same. So we have big populations, young populations. The demography also is almost the same. So I think it's we can find so much in common to do. But the problem is that our regimes will never get together. I mean, the military regime in Egypt, no matter how they claim that they want better relationships with Iran, cannot get along with the Islamic regime in Iran, because it is also the Islamic regime in Iran poses as an enemy to countries, Arab countries that are close allies to Egypt, like Saudi Arabia, for example. So it's keeping all this in mind, it's very difficult to see any fruitful cooperation between these two great countries with two great cultures until the two regimes are somehow weakened and removed. And I mean, we become democracies. Maybe if we become democracies, we will find so
Yes,
much in common to do together. So this is
yes.
the thing, and hopefully one day we can actually. If you, at the time of President Sadat in Egypt and the Iranian Shah at that time, I think there were discussions and
Yes, it was.
negotiations based on secular background on cooperation between the two countries. So hopefully one day we can. Hopefully one day we can make it
Egypt.
happen.
Egypt at that time was the only country that was open its arms to the Shah, because he was like, even the United States betrayed the Shah. He
Hmm.
had cancer, and it was Egypt that
Yes.
embraced him and took care of him
Yes.
after the Shah was kicked out. Yeah, so
Yes.
Egypt, and they used to have a good relationship with each other.
Exactly.
Hopefully, after Iran get rid of the Islamic Republic, we could go back to having a peaceful
And we become a
relationship with
democratic
Israel and
country,
Egypt.
and after Egypt becomes a democratic country also. I mean,
Yeah.
two
Are you
impossible things.
optimistic? Are
I'm
you
always
optimistic?
optimistic, although they sound very impossible right now, both things. I mean, but I'm optimistic. If you look at what Israel has achieved in the past few months in terms of fighting against terrorist organizations, I mean, ranging from Hamas to Hezbollah to the Houthis,
Yes.
and now they are acting like a real threat to the Islamic regime in Iran. When you think about it, we have to be optimistic. We have to be optimistic.
Optimistic and very grateful, because it seems like Israel is doing all the work. Like
Exactly.
a lot of the
Exactly.
work is being done by
I think
Israel, and nobody's
Arab countries
participating.
are only there, condemning and blaming, but actually Israel is the one who's doing the
Yes,
actual work. Yeah.
and I think I suspect. Tell me if I'm correct. The Arab leaders are like telling their people, like, "Oh yeah, Israel is like evil, but hope," and they're waiting, like, "Oh my God, I hope Israel is
Yes.
successful in
Yes.
destroying Hezbollah and Hamas." Do you
100%.
agree that the Arab leaders are basically secretly rooting for Israel to be successful?
100%. All of them are
Yeah,
threatened by Hamas, by the radical Islamists, by the political Islamists. Of course, all of them are praying secretly
Right.
that that Israel wins this war against the Iranian
Yeah.
sponsored militias, or the Islamic
Yeah.
regime sponsored militias. Of course, of course. I mean, no question about this. And actually, recently there was a statement by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He said very clearly that I don't care about the Israeli Palestinian conflict. I care about my own country. He said
Mhm.
this. He said this. So, and I think this is the same way all the other Arab leaders are thinking, except that they are unable to challenge the mainstream in their countries, which is now somehow led by radical Islamists, unfortunately.
Mm. I always say that Israel was designed as a country to save the Jews, but if they're successful, it ends up being a country that saved the Jews and the Arabs and the Persians and
Yes.
everyone else in the
The
Middle East.
entire region. They will be
Yes.
they are literally right now saving the world.
Right.
They are literally
Yeah.
saving the world. I mean, Israel is doing a favor to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, they just killed like they when they killed Ibrahim Akil, they just killed the terrorists that Americans have been looking for the
Yes.
past 40 years. They killed so many French and Americans. I mean, they're killing everyone else's terrorists. They're killing the people who want to remove Israel to the point so that they could eventually go and attack the West. Israel is in
Yeah.
their way. Like when Americans say like, "Oh, why are we supporting Israel? Israel has done nothing for us." I'm like, they're dying fighting your
See,
enemies. They're dying.
exactly.
That's what they're
And for me also as an Egyptian, Israel helped Egypt get rid of Hamas terrorists in Sinai. It's actually Israel.
doing.
I mean, Israel is a great force. They are the only country in the region that was able to bring terrorists to justice, actually. And
Mm.
and they should history will remember that. History will write about this.
Hmm. Yeah, I hope so. I hope history is kinder to Israel than what people are right now.
Yes.
I'm gonna quickly go. People are really appreciating your views on this. I'm gonna quickly go through the super chats. Nechama, I think, is saying much appreciation to you, Dalia, for your voice, perspective, and honesty. Thank you so much. Oh, and also, a populist was telling me when I was pushing back against you on Islam, they were telling me that I should stop putting you in danger. I think
No, it's
like it was
okay. It's
no,
okay. Actually,
that's
I
okay.
mean, the best thing is when you are able to debate in a healthy environment and to question things. Nothing is wrong with that. I mean, as long as we respect each other, nothing is wrong.
Yeah, and okay, talking about respect, this person is asking what you think about the 72 virgins for murders, and does this affect how Muslim women are treated in life? So I don't know if you
Actually,
how
this
you
is
want.
one of the most shameful things I know. Actually, not. We will be cheated in this life and the afterlife. It's And actually, I remember one day I asked the sheikh who was very, very conservative, like in Egypt, like, what about us women? If we go for jihad and we die for the sake of God, will you give us 72 boys to
what,
yeah,
what did he
yeah,
say?
I mean, well, it's not fair. It's not fair.
Isn't Kalman for that? Kalman? There's a I don't know. Or I think there are these young angel boys with like eyes like
But not only
pearls.
for women. No, no, they are not only for women.
They're,
Actually, it's
I
for
they're for
also
men.
for men who like men,
Yes,
like for gay men.
yes, yes.
I
So
mean,
Islam basic, yeah. So and some people
but
say that
nothing
those
for
are for women,
women.
but
This
it's
is the
not.
thing. Yeah.
Yes, those are actually so Islam tells you that if you have gay tendencies, like if you are attracted to same men,
Yeah.
you can't have sex with men in this life, but don't worry, in heaven
You
we'll
will
give
have it
you young boys with pearly eyes. Yes, so yeah,
yes.
that's not that. Even the boys are not for you. Even the boys are
Yes,
for men.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
They forgot it.
All
I mean, they very discriminative against women. Yeah. Even in the afterlife.
right. Okay, so Isa is saying, Mabruk, what a beautiful, respectful conversation. Well,
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
you,
Oh,
Aisa.
can you translate this? I don't know what this one is saying. I speak
It
Persian. I
says
don't speak Arabic.
war burns everything green and land. It burns everything. It means war burns everything.
Oh, okay. Well,
War is a
thank you
bad
for the
thing.
super chat. Well, I mean, to be fair, sometimes we need some war to be able to end wars, because the best way to get long-lasting peace is to destroy the people who are anti-peace. So sometimes war is necessary.
Especially if your
Um,
enemy does not is not thinking about peace. Their only goal is to eliminate you.
yes,
Like, for example, people now speak about the two-state solution, which does not make any sense, because if you go to the Palestinians and ask them, do you want two-state solution, they would immediately say, no, we want just to
right.
finish Israel, to eliminate Israel. They are
Yes,
so obsessed with eliminating Israel more than they are obsessed with building their own state.
yeah, they have given up having a country because they prefer to be a to destroy Israel rather than having a country. Every time they have been given a chance to have Israel and have Palestine, they're like, no, we are willing to not accept having Palestine, because that would also mean that we have to accept Israel's existence. So it's
Yeah,
basically the Palestinian people who have rejected having Palestine as a country. It hasn't been Israel. Israel has been
yes,
offering that many times, but they have just said no every single time. Yeah. So
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Erkin is saying, in Islam there is no eternal peace until everyone submits. Eternal peace is in existence of unbelievers in is antithetical to Islam.
Hmm.
Do you agree with that? But I mean, you're nodding
Yeah,
your head, but you are Muslim. I don't know why you're
jihad.
nodding your head.
No, no, this is the concept of jihad I told you about. You
Right.
are
Okay.
waging jihad as Muslim against all disbelievers until actually this,
Right.
if you think about it, also this is how Islam started as a political religion itself. Like waging jihad,
Yes.
conquering other
Okay.
countries, trying to spread the word of Islam everywhere, even with the sword. I mean, so yeah, I
So,
mean,
that some people might say, like, Dalia just has made a Dalia Islam, right? We have Muhammad's
yes,
Islam, and we have
yeah.
Dalia's. Oh, you agree with that? So this is
I
Dalia's
think so.
Islam, not Muhammad's
Every one
Islam.
of us, every one of us has his or her own perception about their relationship with religion and with God. I mean,
Right.
it's everyone is free. You can choose. Okay, I don't believe that there is something called God, and I just don't want to have this relationship. Someone like me still values this relationship, so I have to adapt it somehow to make it work to make it something that I can work with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something
So
that I can
it's more
really
of an
enjoy, not struggle with.
right. So it's more of an emotional thing. It's an identity thing, right? It's a
Yes,
membership thing. It's not like, yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, I get that. I get saying, Armin, thank you for highlighting Dahlia. She shows that one doesn't have to be secular. No, she does. She is secular. She is
yeah,
secular.
everyone is
Yeah,
free.
you
Yeah,
are secular. Yeah, yeah. So she's not an atheist, but she's secular. So remember, secularism and atheism didn't. Yeah. So she says secularism and atheism didn't help the Jews during Nazism. It is Muslims like Dalia that will bring peace. Actually, secularism has made Israel a much stronger. Guys, secularism just means the separation of states, politics, and religion. And I think me and Dalia agree that that's better for every society that is
liberalism.
secular.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
more about
Yes.
liberal values, liberal valuing humanity, not certain groups among this human race.
Right. And also I want to remind people that it was actually secularists who saved the Jews, because the Zionism was a secular movement started by non-religious ethnic Jewish people. Zionism was a secular movement that had nothing to do with Judaism. So secularism did save the Jews by, if, in fact, the first anti-Zionist people were religious Jews against secular Jews. So it was, and also Israel is a superior country compared to other countries in the Middle East, because it's more secular than other countries in the Middle East. So, and it's more
Yes.
liberal and it's more secular. Secular is one of the principles of liberalism. So, it actually, the reason why Israelis are enjoying much more superior lives than other people in the Middle East is because of their secularism. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to correct. Yeah. So you agree? See, we agree. Me and Dalia agree on that.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I call it Twitter, actually. I still love the old name. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
and by the way,
same.
let me tell you something. The reason why I joined Twitter in 2009 was to follow what the Iranian protesters at that time. It was a
Oh,
time when,
really?
yes, it was a
Oh,
time when it was mainly to follow what the Iranian youth
oh,
are doing. Really, so
oh, that's so heartwarming. Oh, my
yeah,
heart.
thank you,
Oh, that's so
thank
sweet. I
you.
appreciate that. Oh, this was such a good
You,
time.
thank you.
Okay.
And I
All
just
right.
want to say one last thing, Shana Tova, to all the people who are
Oh, yes.
following us from Israel and the Jewish communities worldwide. So Shana Tova to everyone.
Yeah, Shanatov, there are so many people in the live chat that were saying that as well. And